And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication, and upon her forehead a name written, Mystery Babylon, the great mother of harlots, and abomination of the earth. And I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints, and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. I'm here to talk about the pagan holiday or false holy day of Easter. How long will you love simplicity? How long will we dabble in the fornication of the pagans? This pagan tradition started back in Babylon. That's why I went to hear the Revelation 17. Babylon is the mother harlot. The fornication you're drinking of is her paganism. And we still, well, not the church, but I'm saying we as a nation, we as a world, still dabble in the harlotry of Babylon. See, that's the devil. That's the root of the devil. That's what the Babylon is. Read and understand what Babylon is. Stop looking for an antichrist and stop looking for the battle of Armageddon, but read what the Bible is and read the symbolism, isn't it? Babylon, in ancient Babylon, represented idolatry. And what we're practicing now is idolatry. Look, what does a white bunny laying chocolate eggs have to do with the resurrection of Christ? Nothing. But I'll tell you how they linked it on there. See, you so-called Christians that are worshiping this pagan holiday, and that's all it is. And look, we'll get into, I just worship the resurrection of Jesus Christ. We'll get into that too, because you're false too for doing that. But all you're doing is dabbling in pagantry and say, it's just for the kids. It's just for, is pagantry and lying for the kids? No, you did not to lie to anybody. See? Thou shalt not lie. That goes good for the New and Old Testament for all you out there who want to say, am I following still the Ten Commandments? No. But in grace and truth, you can't lie either. Let us go to the book of Acts, the 12th chapter. See, because we got the word Easter in the King James, the sissy James Stewart, the King James version of the Bible, which is a mistranslation. Now, if you want to go back and get the Greek of the word that's translated here, it's Pesha. Pesha, translated anywhere else in the Bible, and even in the Aramaic where you get Pasha, is Passover. The Hebrew holiday Passover, which is in the month of Nisan, which is approximately about April 14th that we say now. This was the time where Jesus was crucified. So it was Pesha. So when we go into the scripture here and it mentions Easter, it's talking about Passover. It's not talking about the pagan tradition that so many worship now. Acts 12 and the verses 4. And when he had appended him, he put him in prison and delivered him unto quaternions of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. See, they killed James. So they got Peter, and they said, look, it pleased the people to kill James. They wanted to do the same thing to Peter, but they couldn't because the Jewish Passover was being celebrated. So they wanted to keep him locked up until after Passover. Not the pagan holiday that you're celebrating now. See, that has nothing to do with that. Now, the holiday that you celebrate now, like I said, has its roots in Babylon. Now, a lot of the traditions of Babylon and even ancient Egypt were copied by the freak or the Greek. Now, I always mention Alexander the Greek in a lot of my messages. Why? Because his influence on the modern day world still exists. See, look this up in your encyclopedias, your Wikipedias, or do a search on Hellenization. That was a process of, it was hell. It was a process of free culture, liberalism, and freedom in worship and as many gods and as many freakish things that you wanted to do. If you wanted to go out and have sex with 7 different people or orgies and all kinds of freakish stuff, you do it. And see, some of you, all you hellbound fraternities and sorors celebrating that stuff, that all comes from the Greek. See, all that paganism come from the freak. That's why I call them the freak. Because that's where all that freakishness came out, and that bestiality, homosexuality started back, but they practiced and they indulged in that kind of stuff. Came from the Greek. Now, out of the Greeks, they worshipped a goddess. They took a goddess out of Egypt, out of Alexandria, Egypt, and they started worshiping it as the spring came, or the vernal equinox, the first full moon of the vernal equinox, where the days became longer. The goddess was Astarte, A-O-S-T-A-R-T-E, Astarte. They took that god, which was a sex goddess, and the way they thought that spring would happen is by having sex. So what they would do is that women would paint their bodies, just like you dress up now to go to Easter, your Easter service. You dress up because you want somebody to sleep with you. But they dressed their bodies up naked in the wool, bucket naked in the woods. And they wanted somebody to hunt for them. Just like you color those eggs, they colored their body and hid themselves in the woods. And if a man found that person, they could have sex with him. This was all in celebration of a pagan religion or pagan sex goddess. Now, where people picked that up? Well, the freak got into it, and the Romans and the Europeans got into it. It wasn't until the Council of Nicaea that they decided when to have the day, or the pagan holiday of Easter, being after the first full moon of the vernal equinox. That happened at 325 AD with Constantine. Now, the more modern tradition of the Anglo-Saxon tradition, they took that Astarte and they evolved the name. And if you look up the Anglo-Saxon Oestre, E-O-S-T-R-E, Oestre, is the same Greek goddess in English or European form. Astarte is where we get the word Easter from. You ever wonder where that word came from? It has nothing to do with Christ. But Easter came from Oestre, the Greek form of it. But now we bring it over in the Anglo-Saxon and the Old English, and Astarte. So King James, when the Bible was being translated, and the Romans and the Catholics had already got it and distorted the Bible and distorted the scriptures, he recognized that Catholic, that false holiday celebration, and he translated it Easter. But the Christians, the true Christians, the Apostle Paul, Peter, James, all of the true Christians never worship a pagan holiday Easter. Never. And you shouldn't either. Why? You're wrong.